Hi guys, this is Miss Adams, and today we're going to be going over Lesson 1.5, the Introduction to Functions. Our learning targets for the day include: I can use the vertical line test to determine if a graph is a function. I can use a table to determine if the equation is a function. I can identify if a function is linear, quadratic, or exponential by its equation. And I can identify if a function is linear, quadratic, or exponential by its graph. So for this video, we're going to focus on the first two learning targets. These learning targets tell us what a function is and how to identify if a relation given is a function. So what is a function? A function is a relation between a set of inputs to a set of outputs, where each input is related to exactly one output. Well, we need to know what input and outputs are. So our inputs in this case are our x values, and our outputs are our y values. We also need to know what a relation is. Think back to middle school math. You were told ordered pairs are pairs of x and y values. Well, we can have multiple order pairs that make a set, and this set's called a relation. So we're going to be looking at a set of ordered pairs and determining if they're a function. In order for them to be a function, their x values cannot repeat. So that means for each input, there's exactly one output. So your x values are not repeating. Let's look at some examples of this when I give you some tables. So remember, your x values are not repeating, so we're going to determine if these are functions or not. Let's look at the first table. I've given you x and y columns. So your first column is your input column, and in that column we've got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In our output column, we have the same numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But because we're just trying to determine is this a function or not, we really don't need our y values. So we can just kind of cancel out that column. Looking at our x column, so looking at these input function or these input values, none of them repeat, so this is a function. Let's go on to our next set. So our next relation is -2, 3, -1, 2, 0, 1, 1, 2, and 2, 3. Now we do have some repeating terms in our y column, so in our output column, but once again, we don't need to worry about our output column. We're just worried about our input column. All of those numbers are unique numbers, so this again is a function. Let's look at our third. So if I'm looking at this third relation, I've got 2, -1, 2, 0, 3, 1, 4, 2, and 4, 3. So although all of our outputs are unique, we're not looking at our outputs, we're just looking at our inputs. So we have repeating inputs here. So 2, 2, and 4, 4, those are repeating inputs. So this is not a function. And then the last table, we've got -4, 2, -2, 2, 0, 2, 2, 2, and 4, 2. Although all of our outputs are the same number, we're not looking at the outputs, we're looking at the inputs. Those are all unique, so these are all functions. Or excuse me, that relation is a function. Let's go and look at some graphs now. In order to look at graphs, we've got to do what's called the vertical line test. Well, if a vertical line intersects the graph in all places at exactly one point, then the relation is a function. That's what we call our vertical line test. What does that mean in a little bit easier terms? If you can draw a vertical line, which is up and down, through the graph given, and it only hits that graph at one point, so it only intersects at one point, then the relation that is graphed is a function. So let's look at this example that's been given to you. I've got this blue graph behind here. That is our relation that has been graphed. And I've given you this red line as your vertical line for the vertical line test. Now you guys can use your pencil against your screen, or you can draw a line yourself if you prefer. If I look here, there's only one intersection point. So this is a function. Let's look at some more examples. This first example, I've given you a circle. If I draw a vertical line through the circle, I have 2 points of intersection now. So this is not a function. Our next graph given is what we call a parabola. If I draw a vertical line through any part of this parabola, there's going to be only one intersection point, so it is a function. The next graph I've given you is another relation. I'm going to draw a vertical line through this relation and see that there's only one intersection point. So this again is a function. Then we have the last graph. If I draw another vertical line, I'll then get two intersection points. Because there are two intersection points, this is not a function. So guys, just to recap what we went over. We talked about functions, and is it a function? We talked about, is a graph a function by doing the vertical line test. So you could draw a vertical line through a graph. If it intersects at one point, then it is a function. If it intersects in more than one point, then it's not a function. We also talked about tables. So we looked at a table, and we said, hey, are all of our x values unique? So making sure none of the x values repeat. As long as they do not repeat, it is a function. But where they repeat, it is not a function.